Good morning again, and Nile, you didn't get the memo.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm dressed inappropriately for this session. Sorry about that.
So we did manage to get you a cocktail, and before we kick off, I do come prepared. If you need any sunscreen.
Okay.
Okay, as Jenna mentioned, we are regionalising this, something that satellite operators in region do very well, or adapt. Last year we had a fireside chat with Meersat and KL, and it got a bit warm. And fires don't really exist in Thailand, so we thought it was much more appropriate to have a poolside chat. Just as an introduction, Nile, I keep on referencing New Zealand as well. It's in my DNA, but many of you don't know that Nile was educated. His university education was in Canterbury, the South Island of Aotearoa, New Zealand, and so he too is friends with penguins, as I am, right? And he often tells me it was the greatest part of his education was the time he spent in New Zealand, and I'd have to agree with that. He's a 30-year veteran of the satellite industry, 30 years. Like, the man looks not much over 30, so when did he begin is the question. He joined Thaicom in 1992 at the inception of Thaicom. Now that's commitment, that's loyalty. This man has been with the organisation since it started. And in 2022, he became CEO. Last year was one of his biggest moments in his life, he told me, and it happened around this event, where he was named Satellite Executive of the Year at APSCC 2023. So you only have a few hours left, so enjoy that time. So welcome, Nile, and thanks for spending time.
Thanks, Terry.
Okay, a couple of questions. And please, in the audience, put your questions in there, and if we get time, we'll move to them. I'm going to change these sunglasses because I can't read what I'm going to say. Okay. So, Thaicom's been a key regional player in the Asia-Pacific region, one of the first satellite providers here, along with Meersat, I have to mention them. And I would say a great innovator in the industry. You launched IPStar in August of 2025. I remember being part of an Intelsat team that came and met you in 2004, before you launched in 2005, looking to get acquisition of that asset, and then Intelsat and PanAmSat merged, and that was off the table. But that satellite was way ahead of its time. August 2005, IPStar, the first high-throughput satellite, and thank you, Patrick French, for coining that word, in the industry. It was 10 years ahead of its competition. It was a 40 gigabit to 50 gigabit satellite. It was very successful in providing services in Australia, in Thailand, in Japan, in India. Is it still existing today? I think.
Yes, it is, believe it or not. Yeah.
Yeah, so amazing. Like, it's almost as old as us. And it was, using frequency reuse, taking some learnings from the mobile phone industry, and having a satellite that was 10 times the capacity of anything else that was out there at the time. And that came from a company based in Thailand. Initially, it had ideas of manufacturing your own equipment, so a vertical integration that you adapted, and you moved to more open systems, and other people started making equipment to work on IPStar. So, a little bit about your innovation, but given the conference theme of navigating an uncharted future, how do you see Thaicom evolving as the industry shifts towards new opportunities like Earth observation, space-based services, and deep space exploration? So how do you adapt, and tell us a little bit about what you guys are doing?
Yeah, thanks, Terry, and good morning, everyone. Actually, we've been on this path for at least 3 years now. We actually changed our vision about 3 years ago, basically to empower people with innovative space technologies for a better life. So we actually changed the word satellite to space, just as APSCC copied us and changed from satellite to space as well. I just found out this morning. So we've we've changed ourselves by changing our purpose 3 years ago, and we were quite serious about the path that we're going to take because we believe that this is the new S-curve. When you talk about space tech, and we're doing a lot of space tech stuff now, even though the contribution to the top and bottom line is not significant at the moment, but I think we had some really a lot of key milestones. And why go to space tech? Because I think it is the new frontier, and people say it's the last frontier that humans have not conquered. And it is an open market. But in particular, probably, your question about going into deep space exploration and things like that, I don't think we'll get that far, at least in my tenure anyway. But one of the things that we're focusing on in space tech is Earth observation, data analytics. And if you look at that, just that segment alone is around $4 to $6 billion business annually. And $4 to $6 billion, if you dig deep inside that, most of it, 70–80% of it, it comes from value-added service. Not the people who actually built the EO satellites and launched the EO satellites and sell the data, but the analytics portion is 70% of that pie. So we believe that that is something very interesting to us. And we had to shift ourselves quite a bit because all of us in the satellite industry, and if you shift from satellite to space, you think that it's not a hard shift, right? But actually, we had to gain a lot of new competencies in the company, especially a lot of stuff that has to do with AI. So we now have a big team that are doing a lot of AI and machine learning to do all these analytics. So this is the big shift that we're going, and we're not going back. And we think that this, apart from the core business, which is still very important to us, this is the new X curve for the next generation.
Yeah, so that's really interesting. I have some insight to what Sky Perfect JSAT is doing, and Kenichi-san was talking earlier today about some of the initiatives they're doing in new space and becoming a space-based organisation. They've invested in a company called IQPS, which does SAR imaging, so not just optical Earth imaging. They've invested in a company called Orbital Lasers, which is doing LiDAR for imaging on the ground also, as well as using the lasers to move debris, space debris. And they've brought in a space intelligence team, basically, which gathers all of that information and creates, and this is where you say a lot of the margin can be made, makes applications that then can be used, whether it's for smart agriculture, whether it's for looking at movement of the Earth so you can help predict earthquakes and things like that. So it's Sky Perfect JSAT, Thaicom, both moving in a similar direction. How do you get that skill set of people who have those skills attracted to an organisation like Thaicom that may not have name recognition as some other organisations?
Actually, believe it or not, when we had to rehire some new skill sets, right, especially with AI, and most of these new hires are the younger generation, obviously, right, and I asked them, because I talked to all the new hires, and I asked them, why do you want to join Thaicom? They said, because you're doing space. That's it. They just passionate about it, and they want to do it. So I think in attracts, and in the context of Thailand, Thaicom is known for satellite services. But in a way, we are basically, because the country, we're quite established, so people know us by name already. So we had to reiterate our new vision quite a lot at the beginning, just so that people change their perception of Thaicom, not only doing the usual satellite communication stuff, but actually doing new space technology stuff as well. So it's attracting a lot of especially the young generation now.
So you could change your name from Thaicom, couldn't you? To attract people. Sustainability, it's a big theme. We're going to have a panel on it. It's critical. It's a critical theme for the industry and for the industry increasingly. Managing space debris and other environmental impacts. I saw that you were awarded from the Thai Stock Exchange, the SET, a highly commendable satellite award, a sustainable satellite award, and I think it's the second year you've won it. That's sort of a different area of sustainability where satellite technology is being used to help sort of monitor what we're doing on the Earth. But can you sort of address those two questions? What is Thaicom doing around sustainability using satellite technology and keeping a future that is, you know, this Kessler syndrome I keep on thinking of, where we're going to have, you know, a belt of debris around us in 20 years and we won't be able to access space. How do we stop that from happening, and how do we as operators and parts of the space domain make this future available to our next generations?
Yeah, actually, as we forge ahead in our, you know, space tech journey, at least from the Thaicom's perspective, one of the things that is incorporated in our DNA, and we embrace it quite a lot, is sustainability and ESG. And it's not just us saying that. You know, we're listed in the stock exchange here, and we got the highest rating. They give ratings for sustainability of about 300-400 companies within the stock exchange, and only 10% get the highest rating, which is a AAA rating. And Thaicom has been receiving the AAA rating 2 years in a row. And just as Terry mentioned last week, we also received an award for our efforts in sustainability. And there are about approximately 60 companies that are listed in the technology sector in the stock exchange here. We were the only one that got the award, you know, out of all the technology sector. So I think that gives us a lot of the team, you know, a lot of encouragement on what we are doing. And we believe that business and sustainability goes together. And it helps each other, because we're building a business around space tech to help sustain, you know, the Earth. So, for example, one of the things that we're doing is one key milestone that happened this year was that we launched a platform called Carbon Watch. So basically, what it does, we measure the carbon absorption in forest areas in Thailand using satellite technology, and most of the effort is not in the satellite data. Most of the effort is in the AI stuff. When we took almost 3 years to do that, you know, with ground truth and verification, we got up to 90% accuracy on this, rather than using manual labor and on-ground measurements. So if you think about it, so if you want to measure 1 million hectares of forest land, it's mission impossible to go on the ground and get sample measurements. It's just, there are not enough people, it's costly. So our solution is actually faster and cheaper than manual work. And so we got, in Thailand, there is an organization. It's sort of like Vera and Gold Standard that you guys are used to, but in Thailand, the official organization that takes care of greenhouse and the greenhouse effect and carbon is called TGO, the Thailand Greenhouse Organization. And we got endorsed by the Thailand Greenhouse Organization as the official methodology using satellite-based, you know, solutions. So this created a lot of interest in Thailand and also overseas as well on this. And believe it or not, you know, we're in the satellite industry. We've been there a long time, and you know, part of my job is to promote. And since we're a public company, to promote what we're doing, you know, on a quarterly basis and whenever. So I talk about our new satellites, SD satellites, and I talk about carbon. And all they want to talk about is the carbon stuff. They don't even want to talk about my new satellite. So it's like the interest and the attraction of getting into this new sort of segment is very, very interesting.
Yeah, it just leads me on to a tangent. The World Economic Forum did a study on smart agriculture and how satellite technology can be used to improve how we farm, and things like using imaging, both SAR and Earth imaging, taking that data in and feeding it back, using precision stuff on the tractors so that they can self-drive, and you know, it leads to things like you use less water because you know when you need to water things. So we're going to have a water shortage in the future. So they've done the impact on if smart agriculture was implemented, how much less water we'd need to use, how much less spray we need. What is it? What do you call it? The sprays that you use on
Sprays.
Sorry?
Pesticides?
Pesticides, yeah. So you only really need to spray when you've got an issue, and having imaging, you only spray where you need to, and you reduce the amount of pesticide, which reduces the amount of carbon that comes into the industry, and then you create a more efficient chain for creating food, and food scarcity is going to be a problem as we continue to grow, especially in the developing world. And if we can sort that out, we're going to have more stable countries. So it gets really interesting for governments to see how our technology can change, because we forget and we don't articulate how we can improve and change this world as an industry. I don't think we do that very well.
Yeah.
Although I think you're a good start. No.
Yeah, Terry, just to add on to that, I think one concrete example that we did, and I think it's quite interesting, is that in Thailand there's millions of hectares of rice paddies, right? And one of the things we did was that we worked together with the Ministry of Agriculture here, and they insure crops, especially rice, which is we're one of the highest exporter of rice in the world. So they insure crops for disasters, for example, drought, floods, and things like that. So in the past, what they did was they worked with the insurance community, and they used the manual method of claiming whether this plot of land, this plot of farmland is considered flooded, and so the crops are gone, so the government has to pay the insurance. So, and that, it gets very clunky, and the process is very long-winded. It's sort of a government process, takes a few months to get the claim. So what we did was we worked with the relevant authorities, especially the insurance organization, and we're now monitoring 1 million hectares of rice farmland for drought, for flooding. So we use that data and then feed that data to the insurance company so that they can get faster claim to the farmers. So I think that is what we're doing. And in the future, these big insurance companies, what they call parametric insurance. Basically, the claims are using scientific means for claims rather than the manual paperwork or visual means. They're using scientific methodology that they trust, such as, let's say, this satellite-based solution, and then they will pay in accordance to this methodology. So we're getting into that area, which is very, very interesting. And if you look in the big picture perspective, this sort of industry is actually bigger than the satellite communication industry.
Yeah, I think we're so hung up on LEO, MEO, GEO, and we don't talk enough about applications just like you have. And that's where we need to get a lot better. But great example. I've been given the 5-minute notice, so time flies, mate. And I've got one more question, and then we'll go and see if there's any audience questions. But as a homegrown satellite operator, and you were there from the start, what specific challenges and opportunities do you see for regional operators like Thaicom in maintaining competitiveness, especially in an industry increasingly dominated by large global players?
Yeah, so we heard a lot about in this morning session about the challenges, and I was the one who clicked in the survey, the last one, the one that says that it's a challenge. No, I'm being realistic. It is a challenge for us, the global players, the LEO global players, and definitely what we need to do is all of us, I think, needs to adapt quickly and also play on our strengths. And I'm sure each one of us and each organization here has strengths. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here for so long. So what we're doing the same thing. We're now trying to exploit our strengths. First of all, one of the things that we're doing is our core business is still the broadband business. The second generation IP Star business. We're investing around $500 million in the new set of satellites to do that. And what we're doing basically is sort of like get entrenched in what we do very, very well, and protect what we do very, very well, and don't spread our wings out too much. So we're entrenched in Thailand. This is our home market, so we need to dominate this into the future, for sure. And with new sets of technology and services and investments, we're going to do that. For the international market, we were only focusing on a few key markets. I mean, IP Star, we were focusing on 14 plus markets. This one, it's other than Thailand, we're only looking at India, Australia, and the Philippines, and that's it. But we think that we have a business case for those, and we can do well in those. So that's how we approach it. Other than that, for the LEO part, for the LEO services, I think, like as everyone said, partnership is the key, and we are the official partner of Globalstar in Thailand. They have the gateway up and running in our teleport for the last year already. So that's what we're doing as the second track. And then the third track is the space tech stuff.
Can you shed more light? You've gone from 11 sort of international markets down to 4. You're talking about Australia, Philippines, India, and
Thailand, of course.
Of Thailand, yeah, okay. So why did you choose those 3 markets outside of Thailand?
Okay, so basically, I mean, I think we try to play in our strengths and our experience. And in these markets, it's not just a matter of having new technology and providing services to them. It's just understanding the context of each of the market. And I think that's very, very important. So I liked the word hyper-local. So you have to be really hyper-local. You really have to understand the intricacies of the market and how it works. And a lot of it is not technology. Most of it is not technology. Now, apart from regulatory, there is markets, there's understanding partners, how to deal with the partners. So it's a combination of all that, and we basically focus ourselves into just a few key markets that we want to make successful.
Okay, so I think we might be having a technical problem. Either no one has any questions, and I can't see them, or we'll go to the traditional method. And Peter, over to you.
Mr. Marshman, Peter Deselli, Nile. Nice presentation. One thing you didn't mention is that
there was no presentation. There was no presentation. Come on.
Nice speech. Nice pool speech. The data analytics market now that you're just getting into, including the penetration into big global insurers, is well populated with companies trying to do exactly what you're doing. Some of them own their own satellites and are now going into data analytics because they think the margin is better there. They're also working with global insurers. I'm trying to figure out, outside, maybe you have a natural boundary of Thailand because of your natural advantages there. Let's just stipulate that. But that's not enough for you to grow this particular EO market that you're talking about. How do you compete with lots of companies that are doing exactly what you want to do and have been doing it for 5 years, and many of them already have constellations up there?
Okay. Thanks for that. It's a good question, actually. When we ventured into this segment for a few years, what we found out is there is no plug-and-play solution out there most of the time. There's no plug-and-play. And these global companies, they don't have the time to do customization project by project, country by country. And this is where we come in. So, for example, when we were looking at the carbon credit stuff, right? We would love to get a partner from Europe or the US or something, and then just partner with them, and then
New Zealand,
and New Zealand as well, as obviously, and get the solution, and so so we don't have to spend all this effort into creating the solution ourselves. But what we found out, there were no solutions in the world that suits the context of Thailand's forests. None. Because the forests in Thailand, as you know, the trees in California are different from the trees here. And the software, if you don't customize it, it's garbage in, garbage out. It's less than 50%. It's useless information. So there's a lot, it's highly customized. I think my answer is that the value added is it's highly customized. And you're right. I think at the beginning, our boundaries is Thailand and our neighboring countries. But that is enough for us at this first stage, because no one is really doing it seriously in our market. And the government market is also very, very interesting, because a lot of this solution, when we tried to figure out how this will work, we went to big corporates who want to do carbon credit, and we went to the government sector. Ends up, I think the government is is the way to go, at least at the first stage, because our solution is nationwide. So if it's a nationwide solution, then the government is the appropriate customer.
Hey, I'm being told time's up, but I just want to take one question, so you need to be brief. But for the new product you're discussing, are you developing them in-house or are you partnering? And if you're using AI, if so, which cloud provider are you using? So last question.
Okay. Yes, for the first one. I mean both. Actually, both in-house and partnering as well. And I think that's important, because if you outsource everything, then you don't have the key knowledge within the organization for competitive edge, right? And yeah, and obviously we're using AWS, right, for this one here. So
Okay, look, big hand for Nile. Thanks very much for your answers. Great session.
Thanks, Harry.